There are few languages capable of crossing so many seas, taking over so many territories, and surviving so many historical transformations as Spanish, a language that was born in a corner of the north of the Iberian Peninsula and that today can be heard in deserts, metropolises, gigantic jungles, exotic archipelagos, and even in scientific bases lost in Antarctica. Today I invite you to travel continent by continent along the global route of Spanish, reaching places where many can't even imagine. Let's start where it all began. Europe's Spanish, or Castilian, emerged in the northern region of the Iberian Peninsula as an evolution of the vulgar Latin brought by the Romans. Over the centuries, this language grew, expanding southward. During the Reconquista, it consolidated as the main language of the Kingdom of Castile. Later, with the unification of the kingdoms under the Catholic monarchs, Fernando of Aragon and Isabel of Castile, Spanish definitively gained a central role on the peninsula. When we talk about Spanish in Europe, the first thing we think of is Spain, including overseas territories such as the Canary Islands archipelago, where Spanish has some slightly different nuances, sharing features with American Spanish, which we will talk about soon. There's also the Balearic Islands archipelago, where it coexists with Catalan. Outside of Spain, we find other European regions where, although it is not an official language, Spanish has a real and significant presence. Such is the case of Gibraltar, a British territory located at the southern tip of the peninsula. There, although English is the official language, most people speak Spanish perfectly, and it's common to hear it on the street, in shops, and in daily life. There's also the case of Andorra, the small principality between Spain and France. Its official language is Catalan, but Spanish is commonly spoken. More than 40% of the population uses it as their everyday language. Now let's jump to the other side of the Atlantic, to North America, where Spanish has a massive presence. Let's start with Mexico, the country with the largest number of Spanish speakers in the world. More than 120 million people have Spanish as their main language. Although it coexists with more than 60 indigenous languages, this Spanish has its own identity, marked by an enormously rich vocabulary and a huge cultural tradition. Then we move on to the United States, where Spanish is de facto the second national language, but it does not have an official federal status. But it is estimated that more than 42 million people speak it as their mother tongue, and about 15 million more use it as a second language. The states where Spanish is spoken the most are California, Texas, Florida, New York, Arizona, and New Mexico. What's surprising is that the historical presence of Spanish in the United States is not limited to the South or the Southwest. The language once even reached regions that today seem unthinkable, like Nootka in present-day British Columbia. In Canada, where Spain had a diplomatic and commercial presence in the 18th century. Another territory was Alaska, where Spanish explorers reached coastal areas between 1774 and 1792. Although Spanish did not leave a lasting community there, it did leave names, documents, and explorers' accounts. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when there's a new video. Now let's go down to Central America, a region where Spanish is officially spoken in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. In all these countries, Spanish coexists with indigenous, Afro-Caribbean, and Creole languages. And then there's Belize, the special case. There, the official language is English, but Spanish is widely spoken. Its presence is due to Spanish colonial history and migration from Guatemala, Mexico, and El Salvador. We continue to the Caribbean, a region strongly influenced by Spanish. The countries where Spanish is an official language are Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, which is a United States territory but culturally Spanish-speaking. However, Spanish is also heard in territories where it is not official, such as Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, Trinidad, and Tobago. We arrive in South America, perhaps the territory where Spanish has the strongest presence. The Spanish-speaking countries on the continent are Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. We cross the Atlantic again and find ourselves in Africa, where Spanish has a unique history. The only country where Spanish is official is Equatorial Guinea, where it coexists with French, Portuguese, and other local languages. There, Spanish is used in government, education, and the media, being one of the pillars of its modern identity, but we also find Spanish in other African territories, such as Western Sahara, where Spanish is still widely used as a cultural and administrative language. Among the Sahrawi population, especially in the refugee camps of Tindouf, and in Sahrawi diplomacy, there are also some traces of Spanish-speaking communities in Morocco, especially in the north. Many Moroccans from the north understand or speak Spanish due to geographical proximity, shared history, and the media. It's also worth mentioning the autonomous cities of Ceuta and Melilla, which are officially Spanish on African territory. Now let's go to Asia, where the most emblematic case is the country of the Philippines, where Spanish was an administrative and cultural language for more than 3 centuries. And although it's not the majority language today, it is still recognized as a historical and heritage language. And there are still communities that speak it, especially older people and academics, although unfortunately, knowledge of it is being lost more and more. In addition, there's Chavacano, a Hispanic Creole language that is still spoken in Zamboanga, Cavite, and other areas. And it serves as a living reminder of the presence of Spanish in the archipelago. There are also small Spanish-speaking communities with cultural recognition in Israel and Lebanon. Now we arrive in Oceania, where the most important case of the presence of Spanish is Rapa Nui, or Easter Island, which is a territory of Chile in the middle of the South Pacific. There, Spanish is an official language along with Rapa Nui, and it is the dominant language in education, administration, and daily life. In addition, Spanish is spoken in important migrant communities present in Australia, especially in Sydney and Melbourne, and in New Zealand, where the Spanish-speaking community has grown a lot in recent years. Finally, we end this journey in the most remote place of all, Antarctica. Here, although there are no towns or permanent citizens, there are scientific bases where Spanish is used daily. Among the most important ones, we find Argentina's Esperanza Bus, Argentina's Marambio Base, Chile's Gabriel González Videla Bus, Chile's Frey Bus, and Villa Las Estrellas in Chile, which is one of the few family settlements on the continent, and Argentina's Orcadas Base, the oldest continuously operating Antarctic station in the world. These bases operate in Spanish, from scientific reports to the education of the children who have occasionally lived in Villa Las Estrellas. So yes, even in Antarctica, Spanish endures as a language of everyday life. Which of these territories surprised you the most during the tour? Leave us your opinion in the comment box. And that's all for today. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I invite you to also turn on the notification bell so you'll know when there's a new video. See you soon.